My videos that I put out where I sit on my chair here or sometimes in the studio and I put things across are really, it's just my opinion. And on the thumbnail, it does say opinion. It is just an opinion. And we're all entitled to opinions. We should be entitled to opinions. We should have the right to say whatever we like and in a grown-up sort of way be able to listen to one another, because you never know, you might learn something, or there may be some essence in that conversation. You think, actually, do you know what? I agree with you there, or I vehemently disagree there, but that point I can agree with. But I absolutely appreciate everybody ought to have the right to say whatever they like. Freedom of speech, unless you're inciting hatred or worse, you know, real people to get up and do something nasty. Freedom of speech, to be able to express yourself on any subject in any way, ought to be the right of everybody, because when you do that you expose yourself to others, and if you're a really nasty sort of person and you've got these nasty views on certain subjects, then you basically are putting your own head in the noose anyway. But if you've got certain points which are a bit disagreeable, it's interesting to know why that you like those points or make those points. Freedom of speech to me is absolutely essential, and most people generally do agree with that. And I know that there are certain factions of society that say, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't be talking about this because, you know, this is sacrosanct, or these type of religious groups or racial groups, you know, we shouldn't say that about them. But really and truly, everybody, in my opinion, should be able to say, again, within reason, others, you know, whatever they damn well like, apart from if it is about instigating people to rise up and hurt somebody or target somebody, those sort of things. And I think we all know what I'm talking about. So having said that, I received an email the other day that was saying, Richard, please, will you stop talking about not voting, not being part of the system? It's no hope. Have you not seen how Nigel Farage and the Reform Party, for example, are really doing, and they're offering great change? We have a chance at the moment here in the UK with the election coming up on the 4th of July to do something, to make a real change in the government. And with you saying you're not going to vote, it may well influence people to not actually vote. And I did have to write a diplomatic email back to say, while I agree that you have your opinion and you have the right and of course the ability to put your own views wherever you like on whatever platform, so do I. And my opinion is that by taking part in their game of voting, in their poll, you are effectively agreeing to part of their game. You're agreeing to be in their jurisdiction. That's how I look at it. So even though there will be some people, and I'm more than happy, I think I may even have some people coming onto the show to say you should be writing "we do not consent" or "none of the above" on the ballot paper. And somebody told me yesterday when I was at a talk that actually they have to be read, and if people have written these things, they have to be read to their MPs. Now, I know no idea if that's true. I can't verify that. But there will be a number of ballot papers that will be counted, and they will be shown to be dissenters or ruined or whatever. But in order to write that I do not consent or none of the above on the ballot paper, you have to enter their jurisdiction. You have to take part in their machine. And by taking part in the machine, to me, in my mind, you're effectively saying, I agree with the system. I don't. I've been watching politics on and off in the 60 years that I've been on this planet, and I've come to the conclusion that the system and the people that abuse the system and take control and are being leaned on or blackmailed or bribed, whatever it might be, that it does not work. year after year, when they come along and they say, will you vote for me? And they bring their begging bowls out and they say, you know, we're going to change the borders, we'll protect the borders, we'll make sure that children are educated, we'll make sure that there's more police and that we are very secure in this country. We'll look after the army and protect the country overseas. And all these things, all the things that they've said that they will do. And here we are in the 21st century, and I look around and I think you've had 100 years of this system, if not more, and look what's happened. We've got the worst NHS that we've ever had. Our borders are being infiltrated left, right and centre, and the government seems impotent to be able to do a damn thing, or at least pretends to be impotent to be able to do a damn thing. Our children are being sexualised at school, being taught to how to masturbate between 4 and 6 years old, and we've got all that gender rubbish going on, and he, she, and all this sort of nonsense which is challenging the family unit that had been basically the stalwart of people's lives for thousands of years, and now that is being pushed apart. We have a government that is rolling out 5G radiation, which we know is harmful for people. We have a government that is endorsing the smart meters, which again is more radiation in people's homes. We have a government that is complicit with the chemtrails that are being sprayed, decimating farmers and challenging farmers to create food that we need to eat, so that there is most likely going to be food shortages in the near future. We have governments and systems which are quite happy to send money to war zones to enable men, women and children, innocent ones, to be killed mercilessly in the crossfire in other people's wars that got nothing really to do with us. We have governments who are giving to us unhuman policies that are there with their traps, entrapments on the radar gantries on the motorway, the increasing of the council tax, the anti-human nature of dealing with you on a personal basis. We're treated like numbers, not as people, not as living men and women. I don't get the feeling from my council, from my government, that they are actually there to help us. They seem to be more and more to hinder us, with more rules, more regulations, more low vibrations being forced upon us to make our lives a misery. They do not, in this day and age now, with all the technical improvements, actually seem to be able to lift us out of poverty. They seem to be making us more impoverished. This government, this system, with its net zero policies, following the advice of the WEF and the WHO and the Bank of International Settlements and the Club of Rome and the Luciferians and the Satanists and the Freemasons and all these other people who are advising them and telling them and blackmailing them and telling them how they've got to run the country and how the councils are being guided by them, but not by the people themselves, that the people themselves have been so disenfranchised they do not feel that they have any power. And in this day and age, we ought to have been in the best situation as possible, that brightest of minds were there helping one another, that there was humanity out there, that we were going, right, if you can't pay your council tax, if we need to get the potholes sorted out, or we need to improve the standards in the street lighting or the bin collection or some nice buildings. Let's hear what you like. Let's hear what you want. Let's find out from the people what you want. We are here to do your bidding, not the other way round, not forcing you to lose your cash, to be surveilled all the time. This system, this government system, to me and my simple mind, is wrong. It isn't working. It is no good. That people have a right to turn their backs on them if the government that they are paying for, if they're paying for in their taxes, which are continually going up, if it's not working, if it's not fit for purpose, if it is harming humanity, if it is causing pain and anxiety, if it's causing stress, this government should not and will not be working for them. It ought to be moved. But to be in the system, to take part and say, I do not consent, in my mind and my opinion, is simply saying that you still agree with the system and you believe that you can change it from the inside. I don't think you can. I think we've had many, many years where we've had that ability to do that, where if it was possible, we should have done it. But it has never happened, and I don't believe whether it's Nigel Farage, the Reform Party, the Green Party, the little aliens from Mars Party, whoever it is, are going to make the blind bit of difference, whether people will actually change anything. They're all the same, and even if a new party managed to get in there with all the great ideas and all that sense of freedom and sovereignty, I think the whole machinations, the workings of it, the civil service and the House of Lords and all of those people will go and eventually force this new wonderful party to bend to their will, and it will not change. And so I still say the point of voting for me and being part of their system is wrong. And if you have a heart and if you believe that this is not the way forward, then I have to agree with my beliefs. I have to stand firm and say, I don't believe it. I just do not think that this is the way forward. I will not give them my vote, my jurisdiction. I do not give them my consent. By taking part, to say you do not consent, you're giving them your consent by taking part. The irony is there. So for me, my opinion, my individual opinion is to say I'm not part of that system. I turn my back on this government. In fact, I would much rather see people gathering together, talking in the old town halls, in the meeting rooms, on the beaches, in the parks, wherever it is, deciding actually we're the ones who run the country, we're the ones that do the work, we're the ones that are paying the bills, we're the ones that are paying the price and bringing up the next generation. We should be the ones that make the decisions for the future. We, not them, we. We should be going to our representative and saying, this is what we want for our locality, this is what we want for our country, this is how we want the borders, the police, the children being educated, the health service and everything. This is how we want it run, this is what we're instructing you to do, and your job is to do that for us, which is why we pay you. That, in my mind, is how it should work. But them putting up parties and all of this nonsense and saying, oh, vote for us, it'll all be different, I disagree. So personally, for me, I think this election is a complete nonsense. It's going to make no difference. And so I'm saying it is time for the government. Yes, you've had your chance. You've had 100 years or however long it is that your debating chambers, your rule making, your jurisdiction or not, your legislation, your acts and statutes and all of that. We've given you the power to do that. But now, I'm sorry, you've made a complete mess of it. You're actually beginning to think that you're in charge. You're starting to act as terrorists. You're starting to act as traitors to the country. You're starting to look like that you are a dictatorship. That's not the power that we invested in you. And so it's now time, government, this whole system, for you lot to step aside and let the people run this place as it should be.